schedule, but here we are. I'm sure you've all been waiting impatiently in anticipation for us. So we're back. Dave, Rodolfo, hello.
Hello.
You want to quickly say hi, introduce yourselves? I'm going to check that we're live everywhere. You guys feel free to tell everyone all about yourselves.
Well, I'm happy to be here. It's been a little while since I was last on a Wine Wednesday.
Too
So
long.
it's too long. Yeah, for sure. So it's great to be back. And I'm Rodolfo. I'm one of the co-founders, along with Jana and Dave, of dVIN Labs. And I am a certified wine guru. And I say that because generally after every time I introduce myself, these two promptly tell me that I don't give myself enough credit. So I'm just making sure that doesn't happen again.
Good call. Good call. I like it.
100%.
I like it. Step right into your identity. I like it.
It's part of the identity, but it's a very important part of the project. So I thought I would just put that out there.
Nice. You're our secret weapon,
Salute.
Rodolfo. You're still. Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.
Rodolfo's the secret weapon to all of our amazing wine drops. But before we talk about that, because we are going to talk about that in a second, we are live on YouTube. We are not yet live on X.
Whoa!
But I know, strange. But yeah, Dave, you want to do your intro? If we're not,
Oh yeah, hi. I'm
YouTube
Dave Garrett.
is the main
co-founder of dVIN Labs. Tech guy, wine guy, all around. You know, I'm a nerd, two-headed nerd.
If you say so, Dave.
Double threat. I'm a double threat in the nerd department.
Wow. Two-headed or two-headed?
Two-headed, I was trying to say, but I'm not sure if that works. Yeah.
All right. Cool. Well, Dave, that was the shortest intro you ever done. I
gotta feel like if people really want to know, they can go back and look at the old ones.
Okay, fine. Right. So, hey, Dave, have you had this issue with X before? We're not live on X. We're live on YouTube, which is where the recording is. We can reshare it on X.
Yeah, we can reshare it on X later. Sometimes X. I feel like sometimes those people are busy with other things.
I mean,
and the gerbils or the hamsters in the wheel couldn't quite figure out how to turn on our Spaces live today. Maybe they've got other priorities. That's okay.
I don't know how anyone could have any other priorities except for to, be drinking
Especially
wine
when we're talking about Syrah. Maybe if we were talking about Merlot, then I can see how people could have other priorities. But today we're talking about a real wine.
I wore a French-inspired shirt for today's theme. Even though it is a versus episode, it's a Syrah versus Shiraz episode. But okay, hold on. Before we get into that, Rodolfo has some pretty exciting news for our members. So
Speaking of Merlot,
and just to clarify here, one of the world's greatest wines, Petrus, is made from Merlot. So, Dave, tread carefully.
He knows exactly what he's doing. This was his segue. This was Dave's natural. Yeah, that's Dave's.
Yeah, it's seldom impromptu. He's usually thought about it.
We're on X. If we want to be live on X, there's got to be conflict. So I'm trying to create a little conflict.
All right. Keep going. So I I was deeply inspired by Jana.
My shirt.
No, I mean your shirt's nice, but
Thank you.
I was deeply inspired by the conversation about the right bank last week
Mm.
that you guys had, and also your conversation with the one and only Jane Anson, and by the Club dVIN membership. I queried our members, the members of the club, and I asked them, now that we are resuming our regular wine drops for members, I asked them recently, what would they like? Would they like wines that are ready to go, ready to drink, or would they like wines that they need to cellar?
What
And
did they say, Rodolfo?
well, take a guess. Both.
Yeah,
Yeah.
both.
That's what I would have
That
said.
sounds about right.
Mhm.
That
I should have
checks
known.
out.
That
Yeah.
checks out. Okay, so what are you talking about?
So I'm talking about tomorrow's members only wine drop, which will be a library release 15 years later of the one and only Chateau Canon, which is a Premier Grand Cru classé from Saint-Emilion on the right bank in Bordeaux. And it brings with it a 97-point score and 4 96-point scores.
Damn.
Our own Bacchus gave it a double thumbs up. And the beauty of it is that this should please those who said, I want both. Because 15 years later, finally, with Bordeaux, that you can actually drink the wine. But a wine like Chateau Canon, and with all the grades of Bordeaux, that has another two to 3 decades of life left in it. So
3-bottle pack, one to drink today, one to drink in 10 years, and one to drink in 20 years.
that's it.
That's it. That's
And
how I
there-
like
I
to
like
drink
it.
wine. I like to buy
There-
wine so that I can taste it in different stages. That's wicked.
And there's
Or-
only
You buy 3 bottles, one to drink today, one to drink in 10 years, and one to sell in 10 years. And when you sell it in 10 years, you pay for the other 2 bottles, right?
yeah.
Okay.
It's a collectible. It's
Good job, Dave.
definitely investment grade stuff. Somebody will reward you for holding on to it. And
And we'll all thank you, Rodolfo. Every
well.
bottle we open.
I hope so. There'll only be 23 packs available to the membership, and
Yikes.
yeah, I mean,
She's limited.
Hey.
I'm gonna be waiting at my computer when it goes live.
You're not allowed.
I'm not missing out on this one.
He's not allowed.
What?
He's not allowed. We're gating it so that Dave's not allowed to buy.
yeah, seriously, Dave, hands
Man,
off.
I always get screwed in these deals.
Whenever you find a unicorn, they usually don't come in packs of 50. So
there's the quote right there.
There you go. I don't even know if they travel in packs or what you call more than one unicorn. Herds of unicorn. Herd. Yeah, kind of a an oxymoron there, but so excited to kick things off with this wine, and more exciting wines will follow. But this one seem to align all the stars.
All the stars aligned, as they usually do when Rodolfo sources wine. Wicked. So members only, look forward to that tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern time, right, Rodolfo?
That is correct.
All right. Very
And
good.
just to be clear, this wine, when you buy it, it'll go to Bordeaux City Bond. It'll be stored at Bordeaux City Bond until you decide that you want it delivered. Delivery, they can start taking delivery within 60 days.
Yeah, I mean the delivery can be requested within 60 days, and or
This is
not.
sourced directly from Canon, right? Right. They can either start taking delivery or leave it there to sell it later if they want to, or if they want to store it. Great.
Yeah. So this is, just to be clear, guys, this is not stuff that's been lying around in the secondary market for the last 15 years. This is something that was acquired from Chateau Canon directly in recently. So no, that ticks off all the things that we always preach about in terms of chain of custody and provenance.
Nice.
Awesome.
Okay. And just so everyone's aware, all of our members, you will know, like, if you know, our members know how this works. If there's anyone watching this who's a member and hasn't received the comms for this yet, make sure that you're checking your email thoroughly. If you haven't heard anything, send us a DM on any of the social platforms, or just email Rodolfo would be the best case. Since our app is still in rebuild, the process is a little bit different. So just make sure you keep an eye on your email and you won't miss out.
The process will be incredibly simple, but the members will receive just a checkout link.
Yeah. Great.
Click. Yeah.
Cool.
Apple Pay, and you're all done. 2 seconds. They only need to take 2 seconds out of their day.
Wine purchasing has never been so simple when we're
All
talking
right.
about investment grade wines.
Well, thank you, Rodolfo. We're
Rodolfo.
very, very excited about this drop tomorrow. It's been our first drop in a couple months, so
Yep.
Really looking forward to it. I know some members that are going to be very happy about this. And before you go, I just wanted to let you know that a group of unicorns is not a herd. I've been informed by my 14-year-old daughter, who knows of such things, that a collective of unicorns is actually called a blessing. It's a blessing of unicorns. So we will have tomorrow a blessing of unicorns for our members.
Wow.
Thank you, Penelope.
That was emotional. Almost.
I know. I almost feel like that feels Bhutanese to me. But anyway.
Yeah. I mean, it's also apparently sometimes called a sparkle of unicorns, but we like a blessing better.
I prefer blessing. We're gonna stick with that.
I do too.
Cool. Thank you so much, Rodolfo. We are gonna dig into our theme of the week now. Adios.
Salute to Rodolfo.
Cheers, Rodolfo.
Cheers.
Oh my God, my glass is almost empty already. Oh my Lord.
And mine is still dirty. I gotta tell you, I'm gonna need some polishing tips. If anyone has glass polishing tips,
I
need some help.
my glasses. I'm not. You can't really polish with Salto. We talked about this, but I don't polish them. I know there's reverse osmosis dishwashers, Dave. Maybe you want to look into one of those.
Yeah,
it's the whole thing. Okay, so
I'm old school. I just need a good rag.
Wow. Yeah. Look, I'm gonna send you some tips. I've got all the gear.
All right.
People just send
me some tips.
Polishing gear. Okay. All right, cool. So welcome back to Wine Wednesday. Today's theme is not Merlot. Today's theme is
That was
Syrah.
last week.
I know.
Just to be clear, last week was Merlot, and that is what inspired Rodolfo to do the first drop in months. So I'm not sure, Jana, if it was you or maybe it was the haircut. I think it might have been your haircut.
It's driving me nuts. Inspired. I'll tell you. I don't know what to do with
short.
It's a little too short for me. I don't know what to do with it. If anyone has any tips what to do with hair this length, tell me, because I can't put it in a ponytail. I'm dying.
It's a little Dutch boy thing going on. You could sell paint.
Okay, great. So last week's theme was not Merlot. It was Right Bank Bordeaux, but fine.
You say tomato.
Yeah, all right. Anyways, let's talk about Syrah versus Shiraz. And we're also going to talk about wine's generational shift. Those of you who are tuning in again, you will know that every week we have kind of like a theme of the week. There's a wine theme always, but on top of that, there's always kind of like a dVIN theme. So this week we're going to be talking about the generational shift in wine. But before we do that, what are you drinking, Dave?
Let's see if you recognize this bottle. I mean, you're going to recognize the bottle, but
I mean,
you
yeah.
were there when I took this home. Remember where I
Oh.
got it?
Show me the vintage. 21. I do not. It turns out we've been on a lot of road trips, Dave.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
Shit.
you were there. And you will remember it, and you'll be mad at yourself.
Yeah, but
when I
you
tell
always
you.
set me up for this. This is a common occurrence. A common recurring occurrence.
This is when I was trying to buy wine from Michel Jacques, and he was like, what about this? Can you take this?
Yeah. Actually, do you know what? I think that there might be an older bottle of wine in your possession that you are ordered to by Michel Jacques share with me. So
Hoarding. I am,
don't
and
forget
I
about
have
these
it,
things.
and I'm saving it for someday when you deserve it, or when your hair's longer. I don't know.
I mean, look, I'm going for the French look today. It's fine.
Very French. Well, Dutch hair, French shirt. You're kind of
whatever.
You're definitely Northern European. Yeah, so
it's okay. I'm actually Canadian, and I don't know what to do because I would love to throw on a
What-
plaid shirt and a ponytail and be on my way.
What are you drinking, Dutch boy? What's up?
I am also drinking Crozes Hermitage, but I am drinking a David Renault Beaumont.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, that's a nicer bottle. Mine is more famous. Yours is nice. It's a higher quality.
Yeah.
Both drinking 2021. I thought you were going to be drinking something Australian. I thought you picked the whole Shiraz thing because you wanted to drink a Shiraz.
Couldn't find one. I didn't. So I also found a Washington State Syrah, but
which one from Red Mountain?
I have never seen it before. It was in a wine shop around the corner here.
What's the appellation? Can you look at the back? Is it Red Mountain?
We're not that specific. I think it's a pretty entry level Washington State.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, I didn't open that one. I decided to open the Crozes Hermitage because I will tell you, whatever. I could say whatever I want. I'm a grown Dutch boy. Yeah. I prefer Old World.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Although I'm going to tell you something. I'm like an Hermitage tried and true. Like that's I think probably my favorite Syrah in the world.
Hermitage. Your favorite what?
Well, I would say one of my favorite wines. Like if I think about like what do I want on a desert island, I would say Hermitage, right?
No, you wouldn't. You'd say Cab Franc.
Well, yeah, Cab Franc. But the Hermitage is right. It's like Syrah's right. Syrah for Hermitage is right up there. Yeah. That said, I fell in love with a bunch of Syrahs from San Luis Obispo County, from Paso Robles. Like really? There's a lot of really good Syrahs there. Sine Qua Non makes a couple of great Syrah blends, like fantastic.
They don't do anything that's not fantastic.
Yeah, that's true.
They also just don't do anything that you can access very easily.
But if you want, yeah, that's true. Well, but if you want accessible, fantastic, and like what's going to top the charts in a couple of years, look for Syrah from Red Mountain.
Okay.
Like the Syrah from Red Mountain, Washington is it's like right up there with Hermitage. Like I've had maybe 3 or 4 different different labels. I'm not going to tell you like what to look for, but find something that's from the Red Mountain appellation, Syrah. Buy a few. You can find them, buy them online, whatever. They're hard to find if you're outside of the US, but like really, really good stuff.
I believe you, but I have a question.
Yeah.
Is the style, because you say it's like you're comparing it to Hermitage, which is very high level comparison, top of the top. Is it more like the blackberry jam, plum, chocolatey kind of stuff that you get in New World, or is it more the kind of
No,
refined,
no, no.
spiced olive pepper from Old World?
Much more refined. I think the further you get south, right?
Mhm.
So if you're in Red Mountain, it's much more kind of refined, complex, lower alcohol. It's just a
Smoked meat? Does it have the
yeah,
smoked meat and the pepper and the olive?
yeah. So that's what you're getting from Red Mountain, Oregon, or Red
That's
Mountain, Washington. But then the further you get south, like Paso Robles, or even down, Santa Barbara, which is where Sinaquanon is, or
Mhm.
Ventura County, like that's where you get the heat. That's where you get the higher alcohol. That's where you get the blackberry jams and the jammier wines. Now in Paso, there and obviously Sinaquanon, there it's a very elegant winemaking style. So it's not like, it's not too jammy. But the further you go north, it's kind of like going north in the Rhône, right? Like you get up to
Yeah.
um the same of latitude, and that those higher latitude, higher elevation, like Hermitage is a mountain or a hill.
You're
Red
not
Mountain is a
comparing
hill.
the latitude in California to the latitude in Rhone.
Kind of. I mean, what I'm saying is the further north you get, the
Mm,
more refined. Like if
yeah,
you're drinking a Syrah from Chateauneuf,
yeah,
or from Côte de Rhône, or from Avignon, it's going to be warmer, jammier, higher alcohol.
yeah.
If you go the further you go north towards Hermitage, and also higher latitude and higher elevation,
Altitude.
that's where it's going to be a little bit more complex.
Gotcha.
And the same thing happens in the States.
Okay. Well, that makes sense, I guess.
But I don't know anything about Shiraz, so I'm going to shut up
Well,
and let you tell me about Shiraz in Australia.
yeah. I mean, look, it's the same grape, right? Oh, I know. People don't know that though, Dave. We have to okay. I know that
Um,
you put on your wine hat and be the
yeah.
guy who I'm gonna
No,
say
no,
is
no. This is great.
low-key
This is great.
wine snob.
Um, just so you know, everyone
Mm.
who's listening, there's like maybe 6,000 people in the world that have a WSET diploma, that studied for 5 years to know everything there is to know about wine. It's good to know that what they tell you is it's basically the same grape. Like
It's
that's the answer.
100%
Great.
genetically identical.
Perfect.
It's genetically
Perfect.
identical. You know what,
Okay.
Dave? Wine snob Dave. I just think that some people don't know that. And it's okay to say things from to start at a basic level and then work
Okay.
up to Dave's
Good. Basic
complete.
is good.
Also, can we just remember that Dave just compared the latitude of California to the latitude of the Rhone Valley? Dave,
A little bit.
yeah, it's okay. All right. So, genetically identical grape. Syrah and Shiraz, same thing, guys. But really, the origin is the Rhone Valley in France. And Dave and I are both drinking Crozes Hermitage. So, we are drinking Old World Syrah from France. Yeah, it's really also my favorite is Hermitage. The kind of flavors that you're going to get from the Old World compared to the New World. Old World, you're going to have this incredible black pepper, kind of olive, violet, smoked meat kind of aroma. One thing that I have noticed is hotter vintages, that really nice kind of complexity, that pepperiness and that smoked meat, that savoriness that I love in Northern Rhone Syrah. Sometimes if it's too hot, it tends to bake out, which is really unfortunate. So you got to really be careful when it comes to heat. And vintage does matter, although good winemaking also and vineyard management is key. In the New World, though, it's like we were talking about. You got like blackberry jam and plum, a little more like chocolate, sometimes eucalyptus, depending on where you are. Those are more the aromas that are classically Shiraz. Okay. Also, you're gonna have softer and rounder tannins. And New World is often aged in American oak, so you'll get vanilla and coconut notes, whereas in the Old World, French oak. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I think we're good on the whole Syrah Shiraz topic. I think we covered it. In the interest of time, let's segue. We're going to talk about the generational shift. So Dave put out an article on Sunday. Anyone who doesn't know, Medium, Dave puts out really, really good long form articles on Sundays at news.dvinlabs.com. And this week's article was about the generational shift. So, you know, we're talking about something bigger than just what's in the glass, although what is in my glass is pretty good right now. So it's kind of like the why and how of wine in a changing world. There's kind of a generational handoff happening right now, and it's really shaking things up. And also, you know, how wine is discovered from everything from how wine's discovered to how it's valued. So should I do a little like TLDR, or that was my
Yeah.
TLDR. That was my TLDR. Dutch boys also.
Why don't you start with that?
Okay. So the TLDR, boomers, you just love to say boomers. Boomers are aging out and millennials and Gen Z are in. So, you know, younger buyers are looking for something different. They want transparency, they want access, they want experiences that they can share. They don't just want sellers. Wineries are losing visibility. I mean, wineries have never really had visibility. Once a wine leaves the cellar, there's kind of a black hole of consumption. We're going to talk about tasting tokens. Anyone who's been around the dVIN scene or in the dVIN community for a little while should know what a tasting token and a digital cork are. We're going to talk about that. Basically, it's a way to reconnect producers and drinkers, and kind of like turning moments of
Did you
consumption.
freeze?
Did I
Oh,
freeze?
you froze for me. No, sorry. Maybe it was
Oh.
my internet, but you froze for a second, so I lost you.
Oh, well, that's okay. So tasting tokens and digital corks, in case I did freeze, are basically a way to like reconnect producers and drinkers, and turn like moments of consumption into data-rich, shareable touch points. Yeah, I think
Oh,
that's a good
I like
TLDR.
that. That was really good.
Thanks. Yeah. So, all right, Dave, you wrote the article. What does this shift mean for the legacy producers who have spent decades selling to merchants and on mailing lists?
Here's what it means. It means that they're going to have to do a little bit more work and they're going to make a lot more money. That's what it means at the end of the
Are
day.
they going to have to do a lot more work, or are we going to do that?
They
work?
are, because here's the thing. Like, I mean, I actually think that it ends up being less work in the long run. It's
Yeah.
just different work that they'll do now, right? Like, they really need to figure out a way to connect directly with the consumer. They need to figure out a way to communicate directly with the consumer. They need to figure out a way to differentiate directly instead of through these surrogates, which is kind of how investment grade or fine wine has been um, has been propagated for the last 1,000 years. Now you really have the ability to speak directly to your consumer, and you've had that ability for the last 10 years or so, maybe 15 years, but now it's a requirement. With the next generation, they want to have that direct connection. More importantly, they want to know who you are. They want to know your story. They want to connect with that story. They want to tell that story, and they want to have more of an experience. Up until now, having a wine experience with a fine wine or an investment grade winery, like that was a pretty rare occurrence. Maybe not so much in Napa Valley, although Napa has sort of shown us the way. But in the rest of the world, like you know, I've never been to Gigal. I've been to 100 wineries. I drink more Gigal than I drink of any of those wineries, but like I've never been to Gigal, right? Because they don't have that kind of direct experience.
Yeah.
I don't know if they've got social media. I don't know if they've got an Instagram account. I don't know anything. Like I know that I like the wine because, people that I trust, um, and people that I respect told me that it was good wine, and
Mhm.
like so I've been drinking the wine for years. But that's not the next generation. The next generation wants a they want to feel like they know you. They want to listen to you on a podcast. They want to hear about what you're doing. They want to know your story, and that's what's going to draw them to you, and that's what's going to connect them with you.
Amen. Yeah, it's
Think
true.
that's right? Does that make
Yeah.
sense to you?
Well, it makes a ton of sense to me. I'm no boomer. Okay. Wow. We might edit that out in the podcast. We might not. Let's see. Okay. So no, it's actually, of course, it makes tons of sense to me. My job for like more than half a decade was traveling to wineries and trying to help them communicate to younger generations. And this is like a very necessary thing for people to feel like they're connected and like, yeah, getting, I don't know, it's a connection thing, but it's just like, I almost feel like we're kind of going back to the roots. Like there's this whole smartphone era, obviously, and everyone's really just looking at their phones. But I also feel like, we're really looking at sustainable things. We're looking at, I have so many friends that are so concerned about where every single thing that they buy or wear is from, and like making these direct relationships with a winemaker. That is exactly what we're looking for. Okay. So how does dVIN use tech like tasting tokens to make wine feel more alive? Because I just said, my generation, for example, we're on our phones all the time. I'm starting to hate my phone. It's stressful.
I've hated my phone for a long time.
Yeah, but so how does a tasting token make wine feel more alive if we don't want people to be on their phones all the time? So this is a digital experience. How does it make wine feel more alive if you're looking at your phone and doing something?
Well, I mean, look, the way that we've designed the experience, and we're just doing a kind of a simple experience. I think wineries will have the ability to do lots of stuff, but how I think about it is, we've been really focused on very low friction, very very quick activity on your phone, so that you can do what you need to do and then put your phone away. Like everyone always has it, but like this should be like a 1 second. This should take you 1 second to mark your bottle as open, to collect your tasting tokens, and to give tasting tokens to your friends. Like that's a what anyone who's ever used our tech knows, is that like we fight for every click, like as few clicks as possible, in order to get it done. So we really try to narrow that down. But what it does is that simple, kind of one click experience, that connects you to your winemaker, that connects you to the winemaker, and it lets the winemaker really be able to provide you with personalized, customized information, so that you can understand the story of the winemaker, so that the winemaker can be in direct connection with you, can reward you for being a good customer, can turn you from a wine lover into an ambassador.
Yeah. Okay. And just to give a little more background. So basically with dVIN, we're talking mostly about investment grade wines. So we're talking about wines that at the moment, the way the system works is they're traveling through a pretty opaque and fragmented supply chain. So usually the winemaker will release the wines and it'll go either through like a broker or a négociant, maybe to an importer, distributor, ends up in retail maybe, or a restaurant. If it doesn't end up at a restaurant, it often ends up on secondary trades 3-4 times, and then ends up with the end consumer, who's finally pulling the cork, 15 to 20 years later. And so the tasting token is basically that consumption data. When that person pulls the cork, that's going back to the winery. So this is really interesting, because otherwise, how on earth would the winemaker know through that many levels in the value chain who you are, like who their real fans are? So there's all kinds of interesting things that you can build onto that from a loyalty perspective. But in terms of like data, right now the wineries are just totally blind. So it's really interesting for a number of reasons, but that's basically how that kind of works. So what's the pitch to a chateau owner who still thinks that blockchain sounds like crypto bro noise?
Well, I mean, the pitch is, you're right. It's crypto bro noise. And so, if you ever have to like think about the word blockchain, it's because we and our partners are not doing our job.
Yeah.
It would be like saying, I've got this TCP/IP solution for you that you're going to love, right? Like, what's that? Or I've got an HTTP. I've got this great
No.
HTTP solution for you to, connect with your consumers. No, that's not it, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't think I don't think that they're gonna even know really that it's blockchain, but they're going to get to take advantage of all of the benefits of blockchain without having to understand or deal with the complexities.
Yeah. I fell asleep for a second when you said HTTP. Whew.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So we're abstracting out. We have since we started Club dVIN 3 years ago, we learned very quickly that we needed to abstract out all of that language. And you know what it makes me think, Dave?
What?
It makes me think that we might need to rename the podcast Wine and Web3, which I know you disagree.
No, that's not. You're not wrong. I don't think you're wrong.
Let's do a poll in our community chat.
Let's do a poll right now. Answer in the chat. If you think that it should be still called Wine and Web3, let us know. If you think it should be called Jana's World of Wine,
Spill it with Jana.
or Dutch Boy Wine from Dutch Wine, what wine, Dutch Boy Wine. Yeah.
I love it. I hope that that's the vote we get. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
I think so. I think we could do that.
Oh my God. All right. Fun. Right now, and anyone who doesn't know, we have a podcast. It's called Wine and Web3 with Jana. Check it out on Spotify. That was a good plug. Good, shameless plug. Right on. So I think for the sake of time, we're going to probably need to wrap it up. Is there anything else that you think key points that we missed from the article?
I don't think there's anything else. I think that I think you should go read the article if you're a winemaker, or if you're anywhere in the wine ecosystem. But at the end of the day, here's the main thing. I buy wine the same way that my parents bought wine, and they bought wine the same way that their parents bought wine. But like the next generation, which is like somebody, and then the generation after that, which is Jana, buys wine in a totally different way, right? Like looking for direct connections, looking for more experiences, looking for transparency, like really wants to build, has been conditioned by the internet and social media to like have all of the information for everything, complete transparency at her fingertips, and be able to have a instant connection with the brand.
Yeah.
And like that's just not the way the wine world has existed. But what's lucky is that the winemakers, like the big boom that happened in wine happened in the 80s and 90s, right? That's when so many of these little wineries were created, especially in the fine and investment grade wine space. And all of the winemakers, all the founders of those wineries, they're also aging out. And their kids are taking over, the next generation is taking over, and those kids are like right there in it. I always said that like if my dad bought an Hermitage Syrah, then he was separated from that winemaker by 6,000 miles and language and culture, and like can't even imagine a conversation between my dad and that winemaker. Just would have never happened. My daughter is probably going to hang out with the winemaker for Hermitage, like be in the same room, they'll speak the same language, they're probably separated by like they probably have 2 friends in common on Instagram, right? Like that's how different the world is with just like 2 generations. And so when you think about the next generation of wine consumers, you also have to think about the next generation of winemakers who are also digitally native, who also grew up with the phone and grew up with social media and grew up with digital. So they understand it. And I think that like there's no reason why, and I think honestly, I think Napa has proven this. I think the Mornington Peninsula has proven this. You don't need to destroy centuries of tradition in order to adopt the new generation.
Yeah.
You don't need to. You can keep all of that tradition. It doesn't need to be a revolution.
It's an
It can be an
evolution.
evolution. Yeah.
Yes.
And by the way, when you do that, when you create direct connections with your consumer, there's two important things that happen. One is you don't have to sell every bottle every time, right? Like, how great is it to have a lifetime customer? Once they know your story, once they have a connection with you, now they're buying your wine on a regular basis. They go to the wine shop, or hopefully they're buying, they're going to the wine shop, they're going to the restaurant, whatever. They see that brand, they know your brand, they buy from you. And they buy from you over and over and over again if they know your story. So you're not selling every bottle every time, which is just saves you a lot of money. You're getting great lifetime value per customer. The second great thing is that it starts to compress the supply chain. You don't need so many, there doesn't need to be so many mouths to feed between the winemaker and the consumer. You can start to, once you know your customer and you know where your demand is coming from, there can be less steps, less mouths to feed, less middlemen between the winemaker and the wine consumer. And that just makes more money for everyone. I'm not saying that you have to sell every bottle direct to consumer. You don't. I don't think that's necessary. I think that negociants and importers and merchants and great restaurants serve a purpose.
Yeah.
But what's happening right now is there's too many steps in between, too many mouths to feed, and the winemakers end up getting the short end of the short end of the straw.
Stick.
Short end of the stick. Damn it, that's right. That's right.
That's right. It's all right. At least we learned about unicorns and blessings. So
we did. A blessing of unicorns upon your house, Jana. And it's time to go.
At least you called me Jana and not Dutch boy. So, all right, we have covered a lot. We've talked about we don't wave goodbye before I have done the goodbye plugs. Okay.
Can't you fix it in post?
He's so rude after one glass of wine. What is this? Okay, so we covered a lot. We talked about the rustic charm of Syrah. And by the way, Syrah is the grape, I will tell you, that gave me like the aha moment. Wine people will talk about wines that are that taste like bacon, and what people will also talk about wines that taste like olive. And those are two things where I was like, I don't know what you're talking about back when I was studying. This Northern Rhône, or just Rhône Syrah in general, aha moment for me. Finally understood what people were talking about when they were talking about wines with olive or wines that tasted a little bit like smoked bacon. So on that note, we have covered a lot. That, tasting tokens, what it means to collect and connect in a digital age, and we're going to call it. My glass is almost empty.
I need to refill.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Dave.
Oh, we can't cheers because you're out of wine.
Well, you know what?
Now can I wave?
What?
Now can I wave?
Yes.
Okay. And by the way, I'm rude before a glass of wine.
This is actually Dave on his best behavior. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.
I guess.